Hello, beautiful butterflies, and welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time, I'm Nina, and it's time for another Silver Sister interview, and I can't wait for you guys to meet this month's guest. She is my sister in love, one of the gifts that came from marrying my hubby, and a big sister that I don't have, so I can't wait to introduce to you guys Amelia Bethea. Here she is.
Hi, everybody.
Hold on
How are
one
you
second, sorry. Okay, there we
Hi,
go.
Nina. How are you?
I'm good. Glad to have you on here.
Thank you for having me. And hello to your audience. Hi, everybody.
Okay, so it says that we're live. It says that four people are watching. Hello to the four people watching.
Hi,
For
people.
for those of you who have not seen a Silver Sister interview before, if you are struggling with your gray hair, accepting it, this is going to be an interview for you. And I told my sister in love to make sure that she's honest with how she's doing with her gray hair journey. So you guys let me know if there are any issues with volume. Okay. All right, so the first question, Amy, is when did you notice your gray hairs start to come in?
Okay, well, honestly, I can remember gray hair coming in back when I was 17. And I just happened to be looking in the mirror one day. And I'm like, oh my goodness, what is this? And I saw it like in the middle of my head. It was gray hair. And then I didn't see any more grays until my 30s. And somewhere in my 30s, I had three. I had like three strands of gray hair in my head. When you have three strands of, hair that's white and then, all the rest of the million strands are black, hey, it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
Then, when I got to my early 40s, or somewhere around 42, 43, I remember on the sides, one day I looked in the mirror and it was like, gray. And I'm like, oh my goodness, when did this happen? And I think at that point I realized change is coming.
Yeah, that's a good way to say it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so it's so funny that question in general about whether or not you, what age you are. Because one thing about you, what inspired you to go gray? Because some of us are transitioning from color, but I feel like you have a little bit of that advantage of naturally allowing it to come in, like you're not growing out dyed hair, right?
Right, right. So, okay, couple things. So, I have an issue with chemicals and drugs. I have a very sensitive system. I actually have what's called G6PD deficiency, where I lack an enzyme that enables me to handle certain chemicals. And it's from people that originated in Africa and in the Mediterranean because of malaria. So it actually helps you to get over malaria
Mm.
if you have G6PD deficiency. So fast forward. In my early 40s, I started seeing the gray, so I said, okay, I'll try some hair dye. I tried a hair dye, oh my goodness. The beautician did a patch test, which, they are supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
Did a patch test and on my arm, and oh my goodness, I had within 5 minutes, I was not able to breathe.
Wow.
Felt my airways swelling up. It was horrible. People were coming out of other businesses. Are you okay, miss? What's going on? And there was a nurse there, and the nurse had said, get some water, get some water. And they asked me, where did you, put the patch test? I
Mm-hmm.
said it was on my left arm. Pour the water onto her arm. So pour the water on my arm. Surprisingly, that made me feel better. But
Okay.
I realized at that point, me and hair dye are not going to get along. So I said, look, let me try something else. So I'm looking for natural things. I look up henna.
Mm-hmm.
So I bought henna and I used henna. Okay. So the first time I used henna, I had like the powdery dirt
Yes.
and and you have like, 5, 6 hours. So I was fine. I
Mm-hmm.
was fine up until the fifth hour. I started feeling dizzy, lightheaded. I had this overwhelming sense of get this out of my head. I'm starting to panic. I'm like, what's wrong with me? Is this just in my head? What's going on? So I rush to the shower. I get it all out, and I feel better. And I'm like, okay, was that in my head? Was this real? I said, let me just look up to see if there's any type of reaction that anybody can have to henna.
Mm-hmm.
When I looked it up, I saw G6PD deficiency, and to have this cannot do henna. So I said, well, how do I know I have it? I'll try it again.
Oh
so the next month, I did another henna treatment, and this time I kept it on, maybe an hour. I could not keep it on the whole 5 hours, and I got that same feeling. So I rinsed it off. But the henna made my hair so pretty. It was like red and beautiful, and I said, well, let me just try it one more time. The third time I did it, I couldn't even keep it on for 20 minutes. And the whole feeling started. And this time when I rinsed it out, I had a headache for 2 days afterwards. So I said, you know what, Amy? No henna for you. Can't do hair dye. So here come the gray.
Here come the gray. And I'm sure that there are so many other women like you who have experienced this allergic reaction to dye. There may be women who are like, I didn't want to go on the gray hair journey, but I also didn't want to have these adverse health allergic reactions. So like you said, here comes the gray. And I think it's good the way you explained it, because maybe a lot of people don't realize that that's what that is. And you tried it a couple of times to be able to make sure.
I had to make sure, and then I realized, and then once I realized what was happening. So when you have G6PD deficiency, any type of a stressor, like henna, even eating beans, the fava bean is very detrimental if you have this deficiency.
Really?
Because it'll cause a destruction of red blood cells. So the red blood cells are being destroyed at a rate higher than the body can handle it, and then you go into this whole crisis. So anyway, so that kind of leaves me with very little options when it comes to the color of my hair.
Yeah. So when did you, from that point with the henna and the allergic reactions, around what time was that? How long has that been since you've just not used anything and let it grow?
So that was like maybe 6 years ago.
Okay. Really? It's been 6 years?
Yeah.
It went by really quickly.
I was about 43.
Okay. So I'm just looking and making sure. Elliot said our you guys can hear us well, but let me know, guys, are we coming off a little bit slow? I know this is just like lagging a little bit. We're like robotic. So I hope that everybody will let me know if they still can hear our interview. And the good thing is, if not, it's being recorded on Zoom, so that way we could have it as well. Actually, let me make sure I'm recording it. But so okay, you decided, you said 6 years, and it's funny you mentioned that story about allergy to hair dye. What just happened? Hold on one second. I don't know if they could see. Oh.
What?
It lost. I don't see our Zoom. Okay, hold on. I don't see our Zoom feed here. There we go. We're back. Okay. All right. So okay, it's slow, but they can hear us. All right. I don't know. Do you think the Wi-Fi is a little stronger in the living room than in the kitchen for you?
Oh, I can try.
Yeah.
Do you think that that's what it is?
We'll see if that's what it is. Thank you guys for being patient.
Sorry for the technical difficulties.
That's okay. My peeps are pretty good. Thank you guys for being patient. I love your dress, Amy. You look so pretty.
I said I'm going on Nina's channel today. I have I have to represent.
Yeah, you always represent. As long as I've known my sister in love, and I love that term. I got that from a beautiful butterfly on Instagram. She calls her daughter in love, and I think that's such a beautiful term to
I
call
love
our
that.
in-laws. Yes.
Okay. Is this better?
Okay, let's see. Up again. It lost our screen. Alrighty.
Is it my Wi-Fi, do you
Nope,
think?
that's mine. Here we go. We should be back in action. It's still a little bit slow. It could be mine too. Well, we'll go on to the next question and see if everyone can keep up. And
Okay.
so the next question was: did anybody, besides the fact that you were allergic to the dye and the henna, was there anyone who was a gray hair inspiration for you?
Honestly, Nina, it was you. Okay? Because I never, ever, 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 ever looked at gray hair as beautiful. I'm sorry.
Wow.
We live in a society, or had lived in a society. I'm a '70s baby, so
Mm-hmm.
the Golden Girls, that whole TV show was
Yes.
your, you know, that's the measure of how you view growing old.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody wanted to look like that. And then the one lady on the Golden Girls who, had, her groove going on, dyed her hair.
Right. Right. That's true.
Right? So when I grew up, it was just like, we just don't go gray.
Mm-hmm.
But the 2000s have given birth to a whole amazing movement. Number one, just the natural hair movement. And it's a shame that we have to call it natural hair
Yeah.
because hair is natural.
Mm-hmm.
But for so long, anybody that had any kink or frizz in their hair was trying to hide that and be
Mm-hmm.
straight and just have straight hair. I fell prey to that. I remember I would never go to a job interview with my hair curly.
Right.
I would
Right.
keep it back in a bun or straighten it. So fast forward to gray hair. Yeah, it was like, no, we're just not going to go gray.
Yeah.
So once I realized I had all this going on against me for covering my gray, and I did try the wax too, but boy, that's so
Yes.
messy.
Yes.
Oh my
Yes.
goodness. I got the black wax one time. I tried it. I was like, oh wow, and you have, black hair again. But it's messy. And
Right.
if you lay on something up, there goes the color.
Right.
So anyway, you definitely inspired me because
Aw.
I never thought gray hair was beautiful. But look at you. Look at your Instagram. All right? I mean, you rock your gray hair.
Thank you, Amy. Thank
You
you.
really, really do. And I have to admit, in the beginning, I was like, okay, it looks good on her because she has a pretty face. But it's not going to look good on me. I don't have the color. I'm kind of yellow, so it's
Mm-hmm.
like the silver with the yellow to me just. But
Right.
anyway, it
But
is
it's
what it is.
hair. And
Then I see other ladies, Samantha Pollock.
yes.
Oh my goodness,
Yes.
she's
You
just.
guys have a
She has
similar skin tone.
But then I realized it's about how you care for your hair. All
Yes.
right, it's good. Look at your hair. You rock your styles. You wash and condition it. You do all of what you do to it, and it
Mm-hmm.
looks amazing.
Thank
So
you.
I'm like, all right, Amy. Let's try to keep up the hair and keep it healthy and cut it and style, all of that to kind of help. Yes, I'm gray, but I'm gonna be beautiful. Like I have to get that in my head because it's not natural.
Right.
But when I look at you ladies, that gives me the inspiration. I'm like, well, if they can do it,
Mm-hmm.
I can do it.
And that's the beauty of sharing our story with others. I heard a quote that I am continuing to find true, that when you give yourself permission to be who you are in such a way, it gives other people permission to be who they are. So
Yes.
I didn't think anything, spectacular of my hair, but when you do get the outside compliments and things like that, it does help. But I think what adds to it is when you feel comfortable in your skin, you just have this attractiveness. And I will admit, that could be one of the questions that I ask you, compared to when you first said, okay, uncle, I can't do the dye, I'm gonna let this go, compared to now. Have you seen a shift in how you look at the gray hair?
Okay.
And be honest. Okay.
Yet no. So I find myself now desiring to love my gray.
Mm-hmm.
I find myself wanting to accept my gray.
Mm-hmm.
I find myself looking to find the ways that I can accept my gray. Some days I'm like, okay, it's not so bad. Like even today, I knew I was going to be here
Mm-hmm.
on your show, and I typically don't, put my hair back like that. But I'm like, because the way it's coming in, it's salt and pepper.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes I can camouflage it, and it doesn't really show that much.
Right.
But Amy, you're coming onto the show. Let's show some gray hair.
I'm proud of you.
I have it, So I find myself, it's not the same.
Mm-hmm.
I have made progress,
Mm-hmm.
but I still don't love it.
Right.
I still don't love it. Like I'm wanting to love it. I'm trying to love it
Mm-hmm.
because I don't have a choice. So I said, well, let's rock it, Amy. Let's just embrace it and rock it. But it's hard because, you look back at old pictures,
Mm-hmm.
you see other girls with their hair. Color is gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
Color, black hair, brown hair. It's beautiful. It's just so beautiful. But white hair can be beautiful too. Silver hair. I have seen some pictures on Instagram. I saw this one lady, I don't know if you sent it to me.
Mm-hmm.
She had like long straight hair that past her shoulders, all silver, and it was gorgeous. So I'm trying to get into those posts, those blogs, to try to help me to embrace it. So I think I have a better attitude about it.
Okay.
I'm not loving it on me yet.
Got it. And I think that is, let me know, guys, how we're doing, even though that there's still a little bit of slowness with the screen. Let me know if you're still able to get something from this interview. And I'm going to see if I should restart it or not, so that people... But what I love about what you said is, first of all, the honesty. So there's someone else somebody could be watching me, or someone else Samantha Pollock even, who's finished with the transitioning from the colored hair to gray, and be like, just starting theirs. They have a couple of inches of roots, or they have a patch that they don't like yet, and feel like, I don't love this. I know they're saying to love it, but I don't love this. And I want them to know that they're not alone either. That sometimes with a lot of things in life, you have a baby and your body changes. You don't want it to change the way that it does, but it changes.
Yes.
So I think the practice in learning to love where we're at is a really good practice to have, because if it's not our hair or our body, there are many things in life that we can't change. And the more we learn to be accepting of it and tolerate it, it can help us to have a smoother transition. And also, I like that you said that what you're noticing that has shifted is the attitude. And then it's showing that things take time, guys. If it's not right away, like, okay, I decided to stop dyeing my hair and I love it now. No, it may not happen right away. And to be honest, I didn't love it right away either. When it was growing in, like, I wanted my hair to come in like yours, to be salt and pepper, and it didn't come in that way. So I was just like, okay, let me see. Okay, thank you so much. All Black All Day said that the slowness has been happening with others today too. So I'm hoping that
Be a Wi-Fi issue across the country.
Yeah, I know, and it could also be with the Zoom, because we've been using it this week and been having a couple of lagging issues. It just went in and out right now. So we'll do the best that we can, guys. And I know that you'll be open if possible, if we need to do it again, or we could do it like a pre-recorded one for everyone. But if you guys have any questions and you can hear me, any questions from me or Amy, please feel free to put it in the comments. But like I said, I love that you said, I love that you're showing that this transition is not an overnight thing, that you start to love it. And I think also because when you're growing out your hair from color, it's definitely a struggle because you got so many different colors. Did you deal with that at all with the henna when it was growing out?
Just a little bit of henna, yeah. Okay. But because it was so salt and peppery, and I typically wear my hair curly. When I straighten my hair, I sent you a picture. It's
yes.
Like 9 days.
Let me see if I could put that up.
Yeah, but like when I wear my hair curly, sometimes it's not as shocking. So when I was growing out, I did see like the beautiful red and then the silver white coming in, but that didn't bother me, because what bothered me was the long term, not so much the immediate, but just the thought of I'm losing my color. Like that, I'm just like, and I guess because, I still have ways of camouflaging it.
Right.
So on the day where I'm not happy and I'm not feeling it, I'll camouflage it more. But then the long term prognosis of what's going on, I'm like, well, Amy,
there's gonna come a point. I see what you mean. Basically, there's gonna come a point where you aren't going to be able to camouflage it, but maybe and hopefully by that time you'll be at a different place with how you feel about it, because I think that there's wisdom in nature with so many things. Even with pregnancy, we find out that we're pregnant, but our stomach grows gradually and then our baby comes. It's not just like bam, here I am, so similarly with other things, it may just take a little while. But let me put a picture up to show everybody some of the pictures that you had sent me. So guys, this is Amy's hair on the right here. That's a beautiful picture. And it's so funny, she didn't really like her hair when it was straight, but I loved it. So on the left is where her hair is straight, and on the right is when her hair is straight, and in the middle it's just curly. So you could see, you remind me of Khadijah, Naturally Platinum. She also has a lot of salt and pepper, but hers is reverse. She has a lot of gray in the crown. So if she puts her hair back into a ponytail, you can't even really see it. Whereas for you, when you put your hair forward, you could kind of get away. Yes.
But then when I put it in a ponytail, then you see all the gray coming
right. So here's Amy's pictures that you sent me with the ponytail. And so you can see, and it's funny, Amy, because as I'm looking at these pictures, I could see how it first started off in your temple area and how it has grown. But I love it. And I love that picture you sent where you're looking down in the like yellowish shirt. So you can see the salt and pepper. Your hair also reminds me of another butterfly, Wendy. I think she's in Barbados or Trinidad. So All Black All Day says so nice. So that was another reason why I wanted you on here, so that you could feel the love from the Silver Sister community. At times, that song that says, let me love you while you learn to love yourself. So we're here to give you that encouragement, to let you know that you are beautiful in your moments where you don't feel as beautiful as you are. So
yeah, I think every woman, let's face it, every single woman on the planet wants to be beautiful. And I think for so long, I don't care how you look, how beautiful you are, everybody struggles with that in some way. So you're born, right? And then you grow up, and then, you come to learn who you are. Right. And then you see other, beautiful women and other standards of what's beautiful. And when you're young, like as a teenager, sometimes it's hard because you're measuring yourself against the standards.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not healthy, because then you grow up thinking that you're a lack, that
Right.
you're deficient in something, and that's not
Right.
good.
Right.
So it's like, like with the natural hair, for so long, I think women of color just didn't feel beautiful if their hair wasn't straight. And that is
Right.
such a fallacy. It's not
Mm-hmm.
right. And
Mm-hmm.
I even fell prey to that, in
Mm-hmm.
my younger years.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so I've gotten over that.
Right.
Now, like, okay, here's my next hurdle.
Right.
Embracing gray, not allowing that to make me feel like I'm not beautiful, or that I'm less, or I'm lacking something. And
Right.
I think that's where my growth is going to have to be,
Mm-hmm.
because I don't want to walk around thinking, oh, poor me, because
Right.
I have gray hair, So it's so great to have, people like you out there doing what
Thank
you're doing,
you.
because you're showing the world, yeah, I got gray and I'm gorgeous.
And
And
so are you.
that,
You are. You are. And that is the thing. It's not even something special about me. We're all, whether a person decides not to relax their hair or not, or they decide not to color it, when you are allowing something to happen, and you're wearing it proud, you're not there. This also teaches us that beauty is not defined by the color of our hair. Gray and white and silver are colors. They're not who we are. And I think what this movement is doing is changing the narrative of what gray, white, silver hair means. And then we can start to look at other things, like, look at you, you have beautiful colors on, you know how to fix yourself up. There are other things that we can do to make us feel beautiful. There are some people who have no gray hair but look a little bit, they don't look as beautiful as they can look, because I don't want to say that a person has to wear makeup or has to, but I feel like this, since I went gray, I don't rely as much on certain things. Like, I feel like even my makeup has been more minimal. My jewelry has been more minimal because of that, because our hair is its own speaking piece,
it's
and
vibrant, yeah.
so.
And I like what you said about changing the narrative. I think that's the most important thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think, again, most people in our generation have the narrative. Gray
Mm-hmm.
hair is for people, gray hair is ugly, gray hair is not beautiful. But I think that this movement is definitely changing the narrative.
Right.
And that is important.
It is.
It's always, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. I mean, let's face it, that's just what it is. I can look at something, you can look at that very same thing. I see beauty, you may not. It is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have enough people walking around with what they've been given by their creator, and loving it and accepting it, then you do start changing how you look at it. You do start recognizing, gray hair can be sexy, gray hair can be wonderful, funny, I was at the T-Mobile store, and this kid, well, the guy behind the cashier thing, he was looking at my hair, and he said, see, that I told my mother just to let the gray come in. Miss, I really do like your hair.
Wow.
And he was like a 20-something-year-old kid, and he was looking at my hair saying, I wish my mother could be like you, because I've been telling her to just let the gray come in. So that was actually encouraging.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you're not even and you're not even at the point that you're afraid of, which is, oh no, I'm not going to be able to hide it anymore. And the more I actually was going to do a blog post about this, or maybe I did it yesterday, about Mel Robbins talks about the definition of confidence. Sometimes we think confidence will happen before we make a decision, like, I'm going to go gray, I'm going to do this. And there are some who have mentally prepared themselves. I know Sheila has been on this channel before and talked about how she prepared herself before she went gray. But most of us are coming in knees knocking. So
what do I do?
So it's by the continual committing to the decision to stop dyeing our hair and then doing other things, the confidence does grow. I'm 3 years in. I don't feel the way I did when my first year. And I did tell you the other day, I have some moments, if I'm not put together, where I could look in the mirror and I'm like, wow, this really happened. Like, I mean, it doesn't make me want to pick up a bottle of dye, but I just want that also for those of you who watch this, who are struggling with liking it or loving it, that you're not alone. You know, it's going to take time, and maybe it's something that you never will fully like love, but if you can have a shift or getting closer to accepting it, or not defining your beauty and who you are as a person, because you, Amy, are an example of a person who has these inner qualities that just shine through. Okay, you could be in your little bonnet, no makeup on or anything, and just your personality is so beautiful. So I'm happy that you mentioned about the good feedback that you got, because that's another thing we're afraid of when we're deciding to go. We're like, oh, what are people going to say? And have you gotten more positive than negative, or
I have gotten definitely actually more positive than negative. A young friend of mine, she's about 19, 20. Lovely girl. I love her. She's like my bonus daughter sometimes. I take her on vacation with us. She's just a great girl. Anyway, the first time I straightened my hair in a long time, the gray was showing, and she was like, oh, I love it. It looks so good on you. Coming from a 19-year-old, oh, that makes the world of a difference. Also, my mother-in-law has been encouraging. She says, Amy, when it doesn't look good, I'll tell you.
Okay.
So she says, so people actually have been saying it looks good. So I guess it doesn't look bad, and again, it's in the eye of the beholder.
Yes.
And then also, I think if you keep yourself up, if you fix yourself, if you don't have to wear a bunch of makeup, but just, fix yourself to look nice. And then that can help you in your mind, think, okay, I look nice. I have gray hair, but I look nice.
Right, so, right. I agree. Now, when you did get any negative feedback from different ones, was it verbal, or you could just kind of tell? How did you handle the negative feedback for anybody who's watching and is like, what do you do if somebody makes a comment, or because you're so gracious in your speech?
It's funny. I honestly don't. I did. Okay, yeah. Actually, at my mom's funeral, I saw a friend of mine that I hadn't seen in a long time. We had just been communicating over email and, phone and texting. And anyway, when we saw each other in person, she looked at me and she was like, Amy. And she was like looking like she was looking at something she had, like something so out of the ordinary. And I was like, what? And she's like, you have so much gray. I said, Jeanette, I told you I had gray hair. She's I didn't know it was so much. So, you see, I hadn't seen her in a while, so her last memory of me was dark hair. And all of a sudden now, whoa. So it's a shocker to see your friend, because we were friends since, 8, 9 years old. So, what I did is I just acknowledged it, and I just didn't let it get to me.
Got it.
I don't. At this age now, if I was younger, it'd be a different story. Because what people think of you when you're young really affects you and molds you and gets into your psyche.
Right.
But when you're older, you learn to take things and put them in their place and keep on moving. So you're entitled to your opinion. Yeah, maybe it does. Yeah, it is a lot from the last time I saw you. But that's okay. Right. It's here, and now we have to get used to it. Right.
And that shows that people will follow your lead. If someone says something to us and we're like, oh, they'll feed off that. And my sister was really good with that, because I was not only dealing with growing in the gray, but also a very short haircut again. And I've done that before, so I thought that I would be okay. But when it was off, I was just like, oh my gosh, I feel exposed. You do feel exposed. But like you said, when you come at it like, yeah, I did, I'm going gray. Yep. Oh, okay. And you just keep it moving. Like, it's not even up for discussion. It's not like you don't kind of put yourself in a vulnerable position where you're looking for them to tell you that it's okay. You kind of are like, yeah, this is what it is now. Join the party. And so again, by us doing that, that helps others, the very same ones who may look at you and are like, a year or two down the road, you'll see them and you'll be like, look at you, because my mom, go ahead.
No, yeah, in my mind, I'm like, well, you're not too far behind.
Listen, if anything levels us all off, hello to everybody just joining, and remember, you can put your questions in the question box. We're going to be answering those soon, but it just goes to show that it's a leveling field. We all get older. And now there are some who are way older than both you and I and might have a little patch, a gray hair or two, so genetics.
I do want to say that there is a lady, a good friend. I do her hair. She is 64 years old. She has maybe 12 gray hairs in her head. And I'm doing this woman's hair, and she's 64 years old, and she's got this rich, black, beautiful, long, thick, curly head of hair with 12 gray strands in it. And I look at the mirror, I'm like, almost 20 years her junior, and
Right.
I got way more than she does. So yeah, it is genetics.
Yeah, genetics definitely plays a role. So if that is you, because sometimes you almost feel like, am I doing something wrong? Sometimes it's health issues, sometimes it's not. There could be a lot of different things that go into that. But what would you say were the biggest emotions that came up once you saw the gray?
Oh man. Okay, where do we start? Just, I hate to say disgust, but just being disgusted, like, like, how, like, when you look in the mirror, you may not always love what you see, but at least we can come to terms and be on good terms with what we see.
Right.
Initially, I was not on good terms with it. I was like, this is disgusting. Look at your Amy. What is going on? How are we going to deal with, like, just the thoughts of how am I going to deal with this? Or, like, you start thinking ahead. Like, not that everything is about the physical, but aesthetically speaking, it's important to have value from
how
a physical
look.
Perspective. You have to feel a certain amount of value with what you're presenting to people when they see you. So I felt unhappy, just down, just like, oh man, like, how is this gonna affect my looks,
Right.
So yeah.
So how long would you say that took until you're not at the lovey-dovey stage yet, but are you still at that initial stage, or do you feel like there's been a shift, or when did you feel that shift?
Yeah, there's been a shift, I'd say maybe in the last year. Last 6 months maybe.
And do you feel like it's happening more as it comes in, or because you're seeing it more, you're getting used to it? Like,
from watching your page and your channel.
That makes me feel good.
Every time I look in the mirror and I see, like, even this, I'm like, like, I find myself, okay, like, I'm still trying to make sense of it. I'm still trying to be okay with it. I'm still trying to love it. So therefore, I'm showing it off today.
Right.
Because I'm trying to embrace it.
Right.
So I still see like, oh wow, it's not black anymore. You know, like I still feel that way. Like, man, it's not black. But I'm like, well, you know, let's have a little gray patch, and you know. So I'm trying to talk myself into
it, into accepting it.
And that is something I think that is a life lesson that we have to do with everything, because certain things don't come easy in life. Certain things are hard, and sometimes you have to quote unquote lie to yourself, even because you may not believe it. But you know it's important for you to go in this path, so you have to pull yourself on that path and tell yourself that something that you might not believe until you start believing it.
Right.
So that's kind of where I feel gray hair is not ugly. It is not. It can be beautiful. Even though I may not readily feel that way, I have seen pictures of girls and ladies that I feel it's beautiful. So I have to tell even though for me, I don't feel it's beautiful, but I'm telling myself that so I can help steer me and mentally and emotionally in the right direction, so I will be okay with what is going on.
I just have to tell you how proud I am of you, even to hear you say that, because it's truth. Sometimes we think we have to lie to ourselves, but what we're really doing, I heard a quote that said, transformation at times is more about unlearning than it is about learning. So you are telling yourself the truth, and it's taking you time to believe that, like to unlearn the lies and believe the truth of what beauty means for you. And it goes to show how representation does make a difference. The more you see something, the more you're exposed to it, the more it feels less abnormal. Like even with the natural hair, you know, you mostly saw people relaxed at first, and then all of a sudden every time you saw somebody with their little puff or something, it was like, you know, you felt a little giddy inside. So it is going to take time, more exposure, but I have seen a change in you from when this first I have, and I know you still have a little bit to go. And one of the last things we'll cover before we start to get some comments from you guys. Hello everybody, my sister's on here. Estella says Amy is beautiful, her hair is gorgeous. She says she really knows how you feel because she feels like that sometimes. Hi T. My sister says she says, when she big chopped, someone said, oh, you cut your hair, it's so short, why? And she said, she gracefully said, because I wanted to and love it. And so that person then realized, okay, that's the end of that discussion. So thanks for sharing that, sis. But one of the things we talked about before in our personal conversations about really what's at the root of this resistance with the gray is not even so much beauty and appearance, but what it represents to you. Do you remember what that was?
Getting old, aging, sailing into the sunset, the grave. You know, I hate to say that, but that's what it all, you start thinking about that. And I was actually, just as you said that, I was even starting to feel that's a big emotion that I have to grapple with, because you associate youth with color and beauty.
And life.
You don't associate old age with color and beauty. You associate with I'm losing color, I'm losing hydration, you know, I'm losing all this stuff. We're losing until we're not here. And that, when you start seeing little changes in yourself, your mortality, you know, you start thinking those things. But I will say, everything can be done with grace. You know, none of us are perfect anyway, you know, so we all live life in our imperfection, but we try the best we can with what we have. To do what we need to do, and to be good people, and to love our neighbors and our family and love our creator, we do the best we can.
Mm-hmm.
So right now, I have to remind myself, I can't do anything. I can't change what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
And just like you said, wrinkles happen.
Yes.
We don't want to. We don't want to
Yes.
think that, because we all want to keep our, wonderful way.
Mm-hmm.
But what are we gonna do? So eat right, get sleep, take your vitamins, don't eat
Exercise.
sugar, exercise, the stuff that we know is gonna help us to, just to preserve what we have as long as we can. And then
Mm-hmm.
anything else that's beyond our control, I have to learn to recognize it's beyond my control. I can't worry about it.
Mm-hmm.
All I can do is, what can I control today?
Mm-hmm.
Can I drink a glass of water?
Mm-hmm.
Can I eat a banana? These are things that I can I get out and, walk my dogs?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let me focus on that. And I recently lost about 100 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
So that in itself was a huge transformation.
Mm-hmm.
So that's helping me to see it takes time. For me to get all this overweight did not happen overnight,
No,
and
it
it takes
didn't.
time to work myself back.
Yeah.
So the same thing. All my life I've had dark hair.
Mm-hmm.
Now that it's changing, I have to recognize it takes time for me to accept what's happening, because I've been for so long, a certain way.
Right.
But I know, so at least I'm preparing myself. I'm inundating my mind with people like you,
Mm-hmm.
to help me just to know that, these things happen, but we can still not give up on ourselves, or not, or not feel that we're not gonna still have a wonderful time while we're here.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a whole mental and emotional
Transformation.
that you start going through. And I think that the more you start, which, because when you're young, you don't have to worry about it,
Right.
but when you get a certain age, you do have to watch what you eat.
Mm-hmm.
You do have to get enough sleep. You do have to take care of yourself. So it's all like in one package. And
Yeah.
then the gray hair coming in is like, it's another challenge or hurdle that we have to work with,
Mm-hmm.
and that we have to maintain the right perspective on, so we can continue to love ourselves and love everybody else.
Wonderfully said, especially the last part, because you also are very good at this with your choice of words and things that you use. And we talked the other day about how what we say to ourselves matters. Our body reacts to what we say about ourselves out loud or in our mind. And it is a challenge to accept gray hair, to accept that we're getting older, to accept that it's the stepping stone to wrinkles and other things. And yet at the same time, it's also an opportunity in self-love. It's an opportunity in acceptance. It's an opportunity with compassion, like not to beat yourself up when you realize that it's difficult, because like you said, things take time. And you have two things, well, a lot of things, but two things that we can say here that have also, been triggered by this situation. The loss of your mom also brought that idea of mortality, and then the gray hair. So for any beautiful butterflies, if you're going through something in your life, you may just think, oh, this is just my hair, but things intertwine in our life. One thing can trigger another thing that you're going through. And then you also, like you said, went through a weight loss, which I think also further helped with your confidence and feeling like I'm taking care of me. I feel better in this body that I have. And like you said, it takes effort. This is not to lose weight and then maintain it. Because how long have you maintained this loss also?
It's been 2 years.
Yeah.
And I have not gained back any of it. Because in my mind, I'm like, I can't. Like, I've got to be healthy.
Right.
And then, when if you're 20 pounds overweight, whatever, but when you're over 100 pounds overweight, you got some work to do, because then you realize, you know what? I am getting older. This is not going to help me be healthy. It's not going to help me live long. So, you know, so it's a mindset change. And the same thing with gray hair. It's like, this is what happens when you get it. It is what it is. You have to, like I'm telling myself, this is going to be you. You are going to accept it. So, but I have to be patient because I know I'm not loving it, and I, you know, but I'm like, I'm making that effort. You know, I'm like, Amy, you know what? Let's find the beauty. Let's find our silver lining.
Yes, and you have, and I can't wait to interview you again in a year's time and see the shift that you've had just even in a year's time, because like I said, when I first spoke to you, it was just like, oh no. Now it's like, okay, this is what it is. And
like for the first times I spoke to you, I forget how I was like, I don't like that. I was like, And I remember that you said to me, "Oh, Amy, I'm so sorry that you feel that way."
Right, because another thing No, go ahead.
Yeah, but that, you know, as I think back, that kind of helps me to realize, whoa, you know what, Amy, she's feeling sorry for me because I'm not accepting myself. Like that really stood out to me.
Interesting. Yeah, and I also am one who allows space for those who, like you, they may want to still dye their hair, and if they could and they didn't have a reaction, they would dye it until, you know, their end, but which is fine too. But when you're in a point where you can't, you choose that, you know what, my health is more important than, you know, covering these grays, or somebody does it because they're tired of their roots and having to deal with that. I think another awesome thing to do is not focus on everything we lose or the things that we fear that are coming, but the gifts that this brings. And I feel like the gift of, while we may lose color and some vitality, one thing that we have gained from living life is experience. I feel more confident at this age than I did when I had no gray hair. So it's very ironic how things switch that way.
Now that is very true. Confidence, absolutely. When you get to be over 40, boy, the revelations you have, the epiphanies you have in your mind, and it's like, you know what? I love it. I did, my 20s were too much not knowing, and you know, and not feeling good about this and guilty about that and ashamed about that. No, I would not want to go back there.
Right.
So,
right.
I do appreciate this stage, and you know, I am a work in progress.
Yes, I like that you say that, as we all are. So think of yourself that way, beautiful butterfly. If you are feeling like Amy and you're not at that lovey stage with your gray hair, it's a work in progress. It comes with time. And other gifts that I feel that this gray hair journey has given is courage. Like you said, it's not that you were like, yeah, I want to show my gray patch. You were like, oh, I'm going to do it. You know, like you just do it. It causes you to push yourself out of your comfort zone. And that in turn, you have been one of my, besides my sister and hubby, cheerleaders to help me to do what I'm doing now. I remember you telling me, I think you should interview some women on your channel, and that has been such a beautiful experience, because you would think all our stories are the same. You know, we just decided to stop dyeing our hair, but every story has some like nugget or gem in each of them, and by sharing it with the community, I think the biggest thing is someone else seeing your story and saying, like, who was that? Estella. I sometimes feel that way too. I'm not alone. Sometimes that alone will help you to keep going, because you think to yourself, you'll see me and you'll be like, oh, okay, well, she's just loves it, and just, I don't feel like that. It's okay. You're not alone, you know, if you don't feel like that. And that's what I wanted Amy to know too. When she had first told me about it, I'm like, I'm not going to push it down your throat. You know, I get it. It's not for everybody. But if you could, I think that it would look amazing on you. So, Regina says, so true. I'm proud of her too. You are on your way.
Oh, thank you.
And Estella says, grace comes when you embrace your natural beauty. God calls it wisdom. And Paula said amen to that. So
That's true. That's very true. Yeah, and you learn to walk in your beauty. And I believe
love
that
that.
every woman has to find her own beauty. And I believe at different stages of your life, you have to rediscover your beauty. Because things happen to us along our way of living, like you said,
Mm-hmm.
having a baby,
Mm-hmm.
losing, gaining weight, all of that. You have to still, you have to, I'm learning at this age, it is so important to feel good about yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You absolutely have to feel good about yourself.
Right.
If you do not, you are going to have problems.
Right.
So that is something that we all, I'm always recognizing I have to work on.
Right. Right.
And so, yeah.
And that
So this
goes, yeah, that goes with whether our hair is colored or not. And it goes to show too that a lot of things that you see about Amy, I didn't mention that, what is it, at least 6 months ago, she had a pulmonary embolism, right? She
I
almost,
had, yeah, I was on my way out. I had, by the time I got to the hospital, um, they said I had blood clots all over my lungs. They did the CAT scan. They said every single vein, every single artery was clotted. And they were like, oh my goodness, you're here. This is unusual.
mm-hmm.
Um, so that alone right there, rethinking everything,
Mm-hmm.
what's wrong with my blood? Why am I prone to blood clotting?
Mm-hmm.
What do I have to change about my diet?
Mm-hmm.
Now with COVID-19, that can also give you blood clotting. So just you have, certain wake-up calls in life, and then you realize, what is important,
Yeah.
and just I think about, like the scripture says, the second law that the Israelites had, love your neighbor as you love yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So the whole law was predicated on love, but loving neighbor as you love yourself. That's
Mm-hmm.
something that I really had to come to learn.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you really did not love yourself.
Right.
For you to get to, I allowed the blood clots to get to the point where I'm almost not able to breathe.
Mm-hmm.
I should have been noticed, symptoms a while back. That's,
Mm-hmm.
Loving yourself. Same thing, with hair changes
Right.
and weight changes, all of that. We have to love ourselves no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Mm-hmm.
not if I look a certain way, if I have this, if I don't have that. No, we are who we are.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to learn to love us with the good, the bad, the ugly, the beautiful, everything. So I'm learning that.
I am. If you guys, like I said, have any questions, we're going to get to that portion of it. We've been talking for an hour, Amy. I love this. I love this interview, and I'm glad that we did it kind of just let it flow, because I'm glad that this is recorded. So when you have a moment, I will always just share this interview. And I'll be like, listen to your own words of what you said. It's so true. It's what they say, what we focus on grows. And so when you focus on how much you have endured in your life and you've come through living, those gray hairs, I'm sure you've heard the term too when it comes to moms, that stretch marks on your stomach are like tiger stripes, like you earned each one.
Oh, I had those. Yeah. And I'm like, you know what? They're going to be here. Oh, well.
It is what it is. But again, it shows, each gray hair shows life that we've lived that's been full of, like you said, good, bad, ugly, all things, but it's a life. And another quote that I've heard that I loved is, age is a privilege that has been denied to many. Some have not lived as long as we have. I think my grandmother was one of them. I forgot, she died of breast cancer young. And so just every day that we live, it just shifts the perspective. Again, it doesn't mean that you're going to be in love, but it's like, you know what? I've lived life. I've enjoyed, love with friendships, relationships, experiences, memories, things like that. When we shift the focus on what we hate about something instead of what something we could change the narrative of what it represents. Not that I'm losing life, but this is how much life I've lived. And with each day, I want to make the best out of it, because we know we're not guaranteed tomorrow, considering what happened to you. I'm so thankful you're still here, and that you.
That is a very good point. That is a really powerful point, actually. And you're right. It is about shifting your perspective, and glass is half full, glass is half empty. Well, let's look at the glasses as half full. I really appreciate that, because well, life is a gift. Every moment that we have, that we're breathing and we're not being threatened by anything, we have a sense of peace. That's a gift. That could easily be gone tomorrow. Easily. So it really does make you learn to want to live from an attitude of gratefulness. What am I grateful for? I've got gray hair, and like you said, I've lived this. I went through this. This happened, and this happened, and this happened, and I'm here, and now I have all this knowledge and wisdom I can share, to benefit somebody else.
Yeah.
And if I allow myself to think more like that, that will greatly help how I view these hairs coming in.
Yes, your crown of beauty. And I love that the scriptures themselves also call it a crown of beauty, because it's a life that we've lived. And if I got anything from this interview, it's gratitude and mindset, how that can help us. That is always something that we can draw back on when things are out of our control. And it's empowering. Just like you realized with your body, with what was happening, you said, well, what am I eating? What do I need to do? Like, you were a go-getter. You started walking. You started doing all these things to take charge of your health. And so in the same way, if you have gray hair, how can I take care of my skin? How can I hydrate? My diet, exercise, all these things that are good for our health in general can help you feel better about yourself. And focusing on just the word itself, grateful, how it makes you feel full when you think of all you have instead of what you don't. The society around us wants us to focus on something superficial because it also serves a purpose for them. I need to buy something so I could cover something about how I am, instead of...
Yep, so true. Wow.
It serves a purpose. I didn't realize that either until I was just like, man, I'm so glad to be on stay at home and not worry about having to, I may worry about getting a haircut or things like that, but you feel, it's nothing like feeling comfortable in your own skin. That is the gift that this has given me. I'm not 100% now, guys. I still have insecure moments with certain things about myself, but my hair is not one of them. So that's a freedom that I've been set free from. And hearing your story, sharing your story. T says that she came in late but right on time, and she needed to hear this. So I'm really
glad. Wow.
I hope you guys love her just as much as I do. Let me say hello to Paula, Marianne, Marlene, All Black Day. Marlene is from the UK. Christine, Susan, B. Smith, Paula, Deborah, Maggie. Maggie says she loved her natural hair forever. She said this chocolate mama is melting in 115-degree weather in Arizona. Whew.
Whoa. Wow, that's hot.
And my lovely sister, as I see her do her hair, I see her grays coming in, and she inspires me, which is so interesting because I grew my hair out from color, but she's not even thinking about coloring it in her 20s. Like, isn't that beautiful to give a gift to other young girls, the 19-year-old, that I have an option. I don't have to. I remember so-and-so and they looked gorgeous with their hair, so I don't have to have it that way. We have Estella, Regina. I think I got everyone. Linnell. So I thank everybody. All Black Day says this was an awesome live. I was just thinking about some of the insecurities you both spoke about. So
yay!
High five. We're not alone. We're not alone. Not at all.
You know what? And I have to say, Nina's been trying to get me on here forever. And that person's like, I don't want to go on. I'm not happy about my gray. But then she was like, but we need to hear your perspective.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm so glad you kept on me until I came
Yeah.
on.
I am
And
too, because what I feel at first, I wanted people to know that it's not just everybody like, yay, I love it, I'm on. It's like, I don't like it all the time. I wanted people to hear that part too. But I don't know if you realized it, if you look back at this interview afterwards, the shift from when you first started the live to now, just us talking about it, like I just felt like I saw some shifts happening for you on certain things. And this is the beauty of having a supportive sisterhood where we can lift each other up. We can put a mirror to one another about, no, look at this. If it was a 5-year-old girl, I'm sure we've seen many things on the internet of little ones who struggle with how they look. And you have an adult who affirms them and says, you look in the mirror and you see these beautiful things about you. Or we remember those 3 words from that movie. You was kind, you was beautiful, you was smart, So we have to do those things for ourselves. We have to affirm ourselves. So telling each other these stories and supporting one another. And again, it's not to outcast those who color their hair or who perm their hair and say that they don't love themselves. But for those who are in where we're at, this is the support that you need to remember that your hair does not define you. It's a part of you. It's a part of a section of your beauty, but it is not by any means, who you are as a person.
and I have to say, I have to chime on to that because honestly, in the beginning, a couple years ago, gray hair, old people, gray hair, the golden girls. That's you have redefined what it means to be gray, Nina, and that it's incredible. It really, really is. You're stylish, you're beautiful, and you're flaunting your gray. So it's so attractive that it makes you, like I said, I want to love it. I want to be happy about it because of what you're doing.
Thank you.
This is so important, and the whole social media is wonderful because we can, look at each other, and maybe we need to start posting more pictures of ourselves, doing some challenges, with Gray, something so we can on a daily basis, because, when all of us have our moments, we wake up or happen, it's like, oh, I don't, so just having those little challenges can just help, just to kind of, we're in this together, we're helping each other. I think that would be, so thank you, Nina.
Thank you, Amy. And let me just preface one thing too. By me doing these interviews, one of my very first women that I interviewed was Adelina, and she's in her 60s. So I want to thank you, older ones, because they're changing the narrative for me on aging. I'm actually not as afraid because I'm like, you're 60. Yeah. I look at Ava, I look at my mom, and we don't necessarily, it doesn't mean that everything is relative. When you're young, you have your youth, but there's a whole bunch of stuff that comes with that. When you're older, there's some aches and pains and very different things that come up. But man, I am excited. I'm a 39. I cannot wait to be in my 40s. So beautiful women like you.
I honestly think in your 40s, I think it's the best decade. That's just my opinion.
What do you guys think?
What does the audience think? I think that, I don't know, I think your hormones are just amazing in your 40s. For me, it is. And because you have that confidence about yourself and who you are, and you don't let what other people say bother you that much, and you're more, settled with who you are.
Yes.
So you're more defined in your purpose every day, what you're doing while you're doing it. I think the 40s are a great time.
Yeah.
And I do think that, if you maintain that inner sense of love and peace, it's going to transcend.
It does.
And you're not going to get decrepit. And, we can age gracefully. We can get older and rock it. You know, like, you don't have to be older and looking frumpy. You know, you
Mm-hmm.
can be older. Angela Bassett, the woman is like 62 years old. She, to me, she's one of the most beautiful women of all time. She's
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
absolutely gorgeous.
Right.
So, you know, we can, it's just like you said, we can get excited, like, okay,
Yeah.
you know, let's be 50 and,
And rock
be like,
it.
yeah,
We can rock it. And that is what, okay, we got some comments coming in. And that's what I wanted to make sure. I feel like it started with the gray hair, and now I want to be pro aging. You know, I want to show that because that's one of the reasons why we're afraid of it. And once we
exactly.
embrace it more, it's like, oh, let me get curious and let's see what it has to bring. Because when I was in my 20s, I looked at those older than me, and that settled that you're talking about, I craved. But
Right.
it would have taken me another 19 years to understand that you'll get there, you know, so you don't have to be afraid. Let's see here. Mabel says she loves her. She just started growing out her gray. Linnell said, nope, never alone. We're never alone. Brandy says, thank you, ladies. This has been so encouraging. Marlene says that is so true. I've been going gray for years, and people would look at her and then her hair and say, you're not so old, so why don't you dye your hair? Maggie
Mm-hmm.
says she's loving her 70s. Yes, for the
Go,
70s.
Maggie.
All Black All Day says she's fully gray now. She wants to be free with it, but she realized she's not going to love it until she works on her confidence. Hard work, but it's worth it. You
That's
got
right.
this. You got
That's
this.
it.
T
Confident. Yeah.
T says the 40s are great. She's looking forward to 50 next year. Awesome. Linnell she's great at 52. Marlene, I was 10 or younger when I started going gray, and she's 55 and still rocking it. Yes.
Wow. Oh, Marlene.
So thank you guys so much. I continue to be amazed at how much we learn from one another, and
Yes.
why we don't have to be afraid to share our story. And let me tell you, Instagram is a huge place if you want to see not just gray hair beauties, but I think what Instagram shifted my mind with is how to love grown gray, like how to love the process. Because sometimes when we decide to go gray, we're looking at the end result. I want all my hair either gray, I want all the salt and pepper, I want all the color out. But what these women who have chronicled or journaled their hair journey on there showed me is you could love that part too. You could love the middle. Like, there's pictures of women doing little braids, and like the mix of colors, like copper, white, and just so
Yes.
gorgeous. I wouldn't have thought that before. Like you, I was like, not for me. But
Yes.
now I actually, if I would have went gray again, I don't know if I would have cut my hair. I may have grown it out differently because of what I've seen now. So Paula says she's looking forward to 60. Her 50s have been amazing. So every
Wow.
decade.
That's encouraging because I'm about to go into the 50s. So, yeah.
Yeah, well, guys, thank you guys so much. If you guys don't have any other questions for Amy and I enjoyed this beautiful Silver Sister interview, and just sharing her with you guys so you see why I love her so much. Mabel says she's 68, but she thinks she deserves hers at her age. Let me tell you, Mabel,
Yes, Mabel.
I also feel like I learned from this journey that there are people in high school, like it's not necessarily something that comes with age, you know. There are many who are, even
Yeah.
there are some babies who have come into the world with a white patch. I think it's called something, a Marlin streak or something like that. So I always tell you guys, because another thing that makes my heart hurt is when people say, if I had your hair, if I had Amy's hair, then I'll love my hair. And you mentioned this in your comments, Amy, that beauty is not a conditional thing. It's not when I look this way, when I look that way. It is so many things. So I want to promote you loving where you are, what you have, and making the best out of that. So go ahead.
Yeah, there was one more thing that I wanted to mention. I went to a business meeting about 3 years ago in New Orleans. It was a conference by Inc. magazine. I had the pleasure of meeting the owner of Shea Moisture, Rich Dennis. He owns the Shea Moisture hair product company and Essence magazine. I had breakfast with him. He's so down to earth, so nice, so humble, great guy. Had a great conversation. He said his company has done some research, his marketing team, and they found that hair is the defining factor of women around the globe over skin color.
Wow.
Hair.
Wow.
So he said when he recognized that women, to feel good about themselves, greatly depended on how their hair looked, not the color of their skin. That is powerful.
Wow.
We are all affected by that. So I say that to say, going gray, obviously that's, that affects you. That affects how you think about yourself. That's your hair. What we're doing right now is really, really important because we need it. We need to learn how to feel good about our hair as it changes. And it's huge. It's this, I don't even have the words to really say it, but this is huge.
Yeah.
I never thought I would be conversating, with women and talking about
hair
and, beginning to feel good about it.
Yeah.
I never thought I would ever be doing this.
So there's hope for any of you who feel like Amy. And this is what I wanted about my channel. Because my Instagram page, I show a lot of pictures of my gray hair, and there are a lot of practical things we can do for the gray hair. But I always wanted a place for those who want to talk about the emotional transformation that the gray hair triggers. I wanted them to have a place to hear stories, to know they're not alone, how to talk to themselves. And like you said, so this is the important work. It's never too late. I've had women in their 60s or 70s email me and say, I'm just learning to love me, so that's the deep part.
Nina, now that is deep. And that, I think you can really feel good about what you're doing, because I'm coming to realize, wow, in my 40s, I'm becoming aware of the fact that I need to love myself. And I look back at at the 18-year-old me, at the 25-year-old me, and I saw how I did not love myself and how that affected me. And how now when I look back, I wish I could go back with what I have now, because how I would have appreciated myself and made better decisions and all of that. But that's why we grow.
Yes. Yes.
And now we have to apply what we learn. And I can see myself, it's a process. I'm a work in progress. I'm still getting there. But I can see how it may take 50, 60, 70 until you really come to that place of loving who you are. But at least we're on the path.
That's right.
We're on the way, and we're helping each other.
That's right. We're all works in progress. And let me see here. Paula says she was 25 when she started to gray. Regina said, keep doing what you do. You're an inspiration. Thank you, Regina. All Black All Day says amen. Christine says she was 40 when she started to gray, and she'll turn 72 this July. So again, guys, some words I want you to take away from this interview is gratitude, feeling settled, work in progress, patience, things take time, and love. At the end of the day, love and compassion. That's where the compassion comes in, because we can easily get down on ourselves like, oh, it's just hair. Why is this such a big deal? But it is. And not for everybody. Some, what do they say? Some go through it like nothing. And then for others, it does dig deeper or trigger us. And for those of you, that's what this channel is here for you in this community. So I thank you guys so much. Please let me know in the comments, those of you who watch this on the replay, what your biggest takeaway was. I hope it's to love yourself more, to talk to yourself kinder and more loving. Imagine what you would tell your little daughter or niece or somebody that you love. and how we can be examples to those younger, that maybe they don't have to go, they can get to where we are a little sooner than, than we did. So thank you so much, Amy. I love you.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you, Miss Nina. Love. And thank you to your wonderful audience. I appreciate all of the wonderful comments. Thank you.
They're an awesome bunch. They come on here and just support everyone. So I thank you guys so much for being patient with our robotic video and all of that. I hope despite the technical glitches, you guys, it seems from the comments, we're able to get what we were trying to put out. So I thank you guys so much. I look forward to seeing you guys on the next video, and remember to show yourself some compassion today. Bye guys.